second concert is under the broad umbrella of heroes. And we have maybe the most famous piece ever written, or certainly one of the most famous pieces written about a hero, and that is the Eroica Symphony, the Heroic Symphony. And this is the piece by Beethoven that put him on the map and that really shattered the mold. And this is, you know, we think of the Beethoven who pushed envelopes and who expanded the classical ideal to really kind of plumb the depths and really start to express something. And you start thinking about the individual making an artistic statement. This is now music written for, not necessarily for a patron or for use, but this is music written for the future and written to express something. And at the time Beethoven was writing it, he considered Napoleon Bonaparte a great hero. When Napoleon then, after pretending to be, you know, somebody who he wasn't, then after Napoleon named himself emperor, Beethoven famously went back. On the very first page of this symphony was a dedication to the hero, Napoleon Bonaparte, and Beethoven famously went back and erased it with such vehemence that there's a hole now. It's basically, the first page is erased through, you know, Napoleon's name has been cut out. And Beethoven changed the dedication to kind of a general hero, you know. And so what Beethoven did was really expand things. I mean, the first movement is now about as long as an entire Haydn symphony. And still the form and structure are very clear, and, you know, for the time when it was written, 1804, 1805, still within the classical framework. But Beethoven takes these frameworks and really kind of opens them up. The final movement is a theme and variations, which is a very typical kind of classical form. But what Beethoven does expression-wise and prolongation-wise and just how he just opens up this form to take it to whole new lengths, but also to take it to whole new emotional heights. You know, I would love to have been at the premiere because the reaction, I mean, this was such groundbreaking work. You know, to our ears now, it's a beloved favorite. Beethoven's Third Symphony, the Eroica. You know, everybody knows it, everybody loves it, and it's, you know, it's a perfect ender to a classical concert. Schwantner is a whole different thing. Schwantner, you know, is a living composer and thought of Martin Luther King as a great hero, one of the great heroes of the 20th century. And so wrote this piece as a tribute to him, using Martin Luther King's own words and creating music around them. And so we have a narrator who recites from the very famous speeches that we all know, great quotes. You know, Martin Luther King was such a gifted speaker, and the imagery that he uses and the passion with which he spoke, you know, was really unsurpassed. And so we take these excerpts of these famous pieces, and Schwantner writes powerful dramatic music, again using a full orchestra, using a contemporary orchestra, big percussion section, bells and chimes, and you know, beautiful ethereal music, evocative music, very soulful music. I mean, this is very approachable music. And it's heroic in a very different way. I mean, Martin Luther King is obviously a very different kind of hero than Napoleon Bonaparte or some war hero. And so what I wanted to do was what I love to do in programs is take a look at the same concept, but in two very different ways. And so Schwantner's 20th century way, looking at Martin Luther King as a hero, and Beethoven's look at a war hero, or, you know, writing kind of his heroic music for the ages, are two very different takes, but, you know, interesting and I think complementary.